So wonderful to see this film again, and if I'm just going to start with a comment. It's not really a question, but it seems to me that this film so beautifully represents a kind of overarching theme that begins with that sinking feeling in Gregory's Girl, and then winds up in Gregory's Two Girls again, which is that the painful awkwardness of adolescence does not necessarily go away in adulthood.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think maybe that's why when I read the novel, having been directed to read the novel by someone else, I think that's why I kind of maybe recognised the characters and kind of subconsciously and took to them without even knowing why.
Can you were just saying in the back just now that you thank at the end Tony Kalem, who gave you the novel to read. Can you tell us what were the circumstances of you discovering?
Yeah, well, I was in New York. It was after Local Hero, and I think it must have been the Christmas or the winter after we made Local Hero, because I was in New York, and I think it was it might have been the Critics Circle thing, the awards thing, because I know Peter and I went to that together. And Tony Kalem was a friend of Peter's at the time. And I just remember walking home. It was one of these nice wintry kind of Manhattan nights, and we were walking back from the event, and just the streets were quiet and all that. And she started talking to Peter about this novel she was reading, and she kind of described it, as we were walking. And I said, "Oh, that sounds really interesting." And then the next morning in the hotel, I woke up and she had left a copy of it for me at reception, so I read it over, just on the way home and things like that, and that's how I kind of took to it, I discovered it.
It hadn't been published yet at that point?
Oh yeah, it was well out. It's just I had missed it, So if it hadn't been for her, I wouldn't have. But of course, I'm such a, I'm so kind of thick when it comes to these things. I realised later on she was an actress, and she was probably seeing herself in the part of Sylvie. And I realised that after we made the movie. That's why I thought I'd better give her a credit.
And I can't be entirely certain, but I believe she wound up on The Sopranos, as did Peter Riegert.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she played the wife of one of the main
characters. I can't
remember for sure.
I didn't know, because I know she was in some teen movies at that time. That's the only reason I kind of recognised her at the time.
What were had anybody purchased the screen rights at that point?
No, I was quite lucky, and in retrospect, very lucky, because I thought, thinking back now, you would have imagined they would have gone, but I got home and after I read it and digested it and thought about it, and phoned my agent, and he, very quickly got me an option on it. So I actually bought it personally. I bought it myself, and I think I got an option for 9 months from Marlon's agent to do something with it. And in that time, I think I actually had to rebuy the option because I hadn't managed to crack the script within 9 months, because it was quite a tough one. So it took me maybe about a year and a half to get the thing into some shape, and even then it was very long. I think I seem to remember about 150, 160 pages. Because I was so in love with the writing of the novel, the language, that all I really felt that I wanted to do was to kind of transcribe the novel into some kind of form that resembled a film, But I remember the first 10 pages were narration, and it was just crazy, because I was just trying to hang on to everything that was in the book.
There actually is quite a bit of narration in the film, but I find it serves it really well in a kind of... especially in the first half, where it's about getting as much information,
you have to set it up,
so that you can have this building of madness, I suppose, in the second half.
Well, I don't know. As I say, I was just so keen to. It was almost like I was making a kind of video promo for the novel, so I was just keen to hold on to as much as possible in the novel, and that included, the language, the written words, and a lot of the dialogue as well. When it came to, it took me months and months to crack the way to adapt it. I mean, I was quite, I was really at sea to begin with, because there's so many different kind of devices in the novel. It's told you know, retrospectively by one of the girls, but at the same time she then goes into reverie about her grandparents and their anecdotes of their life. So you've got about three generations of anecdotal, you know, narrative, and then you've got her speculations, her dream life, her speculations about her aunt and whatever. So, and then the day-to-day life with her and her sister. So there was so many layers in it, and I really couldn't crack it. And then I thought the only way to do is to actually get physical. So I've got the novel and I got a pair of scissors and I'd started to cut it. You know, I'd cut it into pieces, and I had rows of things. I had, you know, like narrative, history, you know, almost present day, you know, drama. That all these, I had all these kind of, and then of course as soon as I turned, you know, the first page, I realised I needed another copy of the novel because, you know, you turn it over. So I had to drive into town and buy another copy of it before I could finish it. So I got all these bits and pieces, and then it was almost like a physical exercise. You know, it was almost like an editing exercise, like the way you would cut a film. That I started to paste these pieces, you know, back into some shape, and it really it delivered. It was the only way that I finally could, you know, find a way into it.
You know, as you said, it's being told retrospectively by an ostensibly adult Ruthie. This probably would have been an opportunity for a lot of directors to get, say, a name actor to narrate the film, like an adult name actor, but you chose to go with the actress who plays Ruthie as a teenager.
Yeah, I thought that was important because I didn't want people to feel that there had been survivors. You know, if you'd had an adult voice doing that, then you would fall into the trap that everything would work itself out in some kind of way or other. And I think it always disappoints me when that happens in a film. It's okay, they get it right and they narrate it backwards, but someone survived whatever, and you don't really want to know that till some later point. Mm. And if they survived enough to be coherent and to be able to tell the story, then it's even worse, you know. So I just needed the child's voice, really.
Right. There's a suggestion that it might not be so far into the future.
Yes.
Maybe even right after this.
And also it's almost kind of operatic. It's not so much her future voice remembering. It's just her thoughts as she's living them, you know.
I want to talk about the two actresses. The two young actresses are really, really quite good, but they never did much work after this, and I wonder how you feel about that.
Well, when you're making a film, you're kind of selfish. You just use people for, you know, what you want them for at that time. And one of the girls was certainly didn't have any interest in a career in acting. The older one who played Ruthie, she was, as far as I know, she was into marine biology at that point. I don't know if that survived. But the two girls were very, very different in the way that they approached the work. One was very instinctive and actually kind of actually read the novel and more or less took more from the novel as I did than from the script, and got into the spirit of it. The other one was more of an actress in the sense that she needed a sense of what was happening moment by moment in the scenes we were filming, and I was really helped by Christine Latty, because Christine, being the centre of the performances, and she was out there in front of the camera, she more or less needed to control her landscape, you know, in front of the camera, and so she worked very hard with the girls in ways that I couldn't, just in actorly ways and in small behavioural ways, almost like a teacher, almost like a coach, but to her own ends, because she needed to control what was happening out there, because she's a very disciplined performer, and she needed to know that what was coming at her was, you know, under control. And I was very, very, very grateful to her. When we showed the film at the Eberts Festival a couple of years ago, I actually remembered to thank Christine for doing that, because at a certain stage she almost deserved a co-director credit, because she was doing so much for the girls.
And she became a pretty successful director in her own right.
She did. I haven't seen what she did, but I've heard that, yeah.